All right. Hi everyone. Sorry for the sad start, but just waiting for the camera person to go live, and we're live. So thank you for coming in. I hope you will love this workshop. If not love, just give us the feedback. We have the feedback form in the back. We'll distribute it soon. And so initially, first I will give you the presentation, just talking about very main points, what are the submission forms and everything, and then we'll move over to a panel discussion where you can ask any question you want, and we'll try to answer them as specifically as we can. All right. So my name is Sugandha Singh. I am PhD student in Civil Engineering Department, and I am also the VP of Academic Affairs at Graduate Student Association. And GSA Research Recognition Committee does the judging of all the applications that you submit us. So we just came here so that we can give a better understanding of what we are looking for, and we want you guys to make our jobs tough, apparently. It's kind of putting the axe through our own fate. We're trying to make our jobs tough so that we get the best of the best, and I hope this helps. So, alright, I'm guessing this is someone just doing research and also wondering, someday I'm gonna present my research at a conference. But, oh no, no money. I mean, we're grad students. We don't usually have money. So, that's what we do. That's us, very colorful people. We try to debate very colorfully about your applications, the awesome applications that we get. And we try to judge them and find the best people we can. And believe us, it is a very, very hard decision. Over the years, since I've been working with GSA, when I started, we used to get 25 applications barely. Now we get around 100. It's a very daunting task. We thought we'd give you a timeline. So I'm going to start with a little bit about us and what are the awards, what are the timeline, eligibility, what materials you need to submit, and the main part, which is judging. So what we're looking for and who will judge and all of that. So I already covered about us, what is GSA Recognition Committee. We try to recognize the best research. We don't technically judge on what your research is, we just judge on how you explain it to us. That's what our main agenda is. About awards, we do this each semester. In fall, we give 5 awards of $1,500 called Award for Conferences, and 6 in the spring cycle, which is now. So we will be giving out more $1,500 awards this time. And in association with Graduate School, we have another one, Travel Assistance Award, which is $500, which we can give based on merit. Basically, we decide a main barrier where we think that applications were good enough so that we can give that award, and we try to maximize that number as much as possible. But to be clarified, we have a lot of awards. That doesn't mean we give out to everyone. We just want to maintain that standard of merit as well. And whenever available, our committee also recommends Graduate School to give these 2 awards, Arthur B. Moss International Award, which is usually only for international travels, and it is also a $500 award. And I think we have 2 of those in a calendar year. So spring and fall, we have, for that whole year, we have 2 awards. Bob and Susan Sewell Scholarship, which is a new award, which is because of the efforts of our last VP Academic. We got 4 awards to give out. They are also $500 award. There's no restriction on where to travel, but we still follow the application submission and everything. So that is also calendar year, so either 4 in a calendar year. So based on how many good applications we get, we decide on how to recommend those to the graduate school. So for all of these awards, you have to submit the applications for either award for conferences or travel assistance award. If you want to be considered for both of these, you have to submit both applications separately. All of this information is also available on GSA website. Let me click on that thing. So if you see, this is our main website where we post most of the information. Here is the link for the submission form for award for conferences. This one is for Travel Assistance Award. And if you go down, we have given the eligibility here. If somehow anything is not clear to you here, just email me or just go to the website. And application requirements, if you see that, we have a little bit different application requirements, but more or less both the applications are similar. We have just shortened the application for $500 award. Here you will see recommendation letter submission link and DGP authorization. And I would really want to specify on the point that you have to get your recommenders and DGP to submit it, and you have to send that link yourself. Even if you fill out that information in your forms, it's not going to send that link to them automatically. You have to email them the link or direct them to this website. We do that because we had that automatic sender information, and once you used to save, they would get another notification to submit this, and we got a lot of complaints. So we had to give you a little bit more work, but I guess it's not that much effort. So we need 2 recommendation letters for award for conferences and 1 for travel assistance. And if you're planning on using just one common recommender, they don't have to submit it separately. They just have to submit 1 recommendation letter, which the committee will use for both applications. And same as DGP authorization, that has to be submitted just once, not twice if you're filling out both applications. If you go down, application timeline, it more or less is the same. Travel dates are these, and deadline and notification date never changes unless we have a hurricane like we had last semester. And this is the new information for this workshop. We will be posting the video from here, from today here. And if you go down, we have a survey or feedback form. If you think that something is you want to change in the application process, please submit that feedback form. If you go to FAQs, we have that separate page which addresses very specific questions. So please look over the website. There are separate pages for each of these submission forms, recommendation letters, and DGP authorization. All right. So I just wanted to show you the spring timeline. It's not set in stone yet, but we will have hopefully GSA Awards workshop from next year. But we will have it just once a year, hopefully in January, because it's really hard for us to. We don't form committee until September, and the deadline is September 15th. So organizing this workshop is really hard. So we will have hopefully GSA Awards workshop once a year. Spring applications are usually available December 15th. Deadline is February 15th by 5 p.m. and we are really strict on that. We don't even manually monitor it. We just put in the form to disable the form by 5 p.m. so you can't do anything after that. We will not accept any recommendation letters, any DGP authorization, or any form submitted after 5 p.m. And April 15 is when we will notify the winners. Travel dates for spring cycle is from February 15 to September 14. By travel date, I mean the start of the travel. So if you're going on February 15, that's okay. Fall timeline, July 15th is when the applications will be available. September 15th by 5 p.m. applications are due. Again, the same condition, we won't accept any material after 5 p.m. And November 15th is when the applicants will be notified. And the travel dates are September 15th to February 14th. Eligibility, it should be a currently enrolled fee-paying student. And sometimes it's like some of the staff who can do their research, but they're not really paying their fees. It's for them. But if you're a student, if you are RATA and your fees is paid by the department, that's okay too. Ultimately, the fees come to us, and that's how we can fund these awards. You should have a good academic standing, GPA more than 3. We require that. You must be presenting at the conference. Last year we saw 1 or 2 applications where someone was not presenting. That is an automatic disqualification. We want you to present. And we understand presentation could be different formats. So oral, poster, or if you are giving a workshop, that's good too. You should be speaking in some form. That's a requirement. You can receive only each award once per your degree. But if you have, say, won award for conferences this semester, you can't apply for travel assistance award next semester. You have to wait a year to apply for the next award. Can you only receive 1 award per academic year? Okay, submission material. For a complete application, we need all these documents: a complete application form, personal statement, submitted abstract, whichever you have submitted, your CV, your unofficial transcript. And I want to clarify here, if you are a new student, like you came in from a different university, and you are already presenting in your first semester, you can enter your GPA from your last degree and submit that transcript from your last university. Abstract acceptance, that is not required at the submission of the application, but if you do receive the award, you need to submit the abstract acceptance before you receive the reimbursement. Recommendation letters, 2 for GSA award for conferences and 1 for GSA travel assistance award, and DGP authorization. I want to stress on DGP authorization. We do ask them to sign the declaration that we want top 5% of your graduate students. That is not when you are submitting the form. If we do have a high volume of applications from the same department, then we will approach them and ask them to clear out, like tell us which are the top 5%, and we'll judge those. But it's not like he or she has to do it like when you are submitting. So make that clear to your DGPs, go talk to them. We'll talk about personal statement, CV, and recommendation letters, how to go about those in a bit. And your application will be disqualified if we don't receive all of these documents by the deadline. Since we have way too many applications coming in, we do disqualify the ones we don't have all the materials for. Alright, going to judging. Judging is done by your graduate student peers. It's people like me or people standing here, the awesome people here, and the ones joining in later. We're all graduate students from very different fields, and as a rule, we can't judge an application from our own department so that we don't bias it. So you have to make your personal statement as such that anyone can understand from any background of education. We have 12 members in our committee, and we use a rubric to determine scores. So we have a very set rubric. We do take GPA into account, and we do take amount of experience on CV, not just the experience. Depending on your department, we also see if you have enough publications, but that's not the main focus. We also see overall development, like have you participated in different events, are you on leadership roles or UTA, or things like that. We try to see a different kind of professional personal development in a CV. And that's because we want our student research to be recognized highly when you go to conferences. So we want NC State name to be out there. So that's one of the reasons we do that. Okay, now getting into the good part you're here for. What we are looking for. We do look for department and program, but that's only because we want to know who to assign those applications for, so that we can avoid all types of bias. And also we need it for demographics, so that we know how many students from which department or which college applied and how many won. We do that. We need that so that we can show our future funding people that we have applications from these many areas. Expected presentation type. It gives an insight to what type of, are you reaching out to a broader audience or not? If you're giving a PowerPoint oral presentation, obviously you're reaching out to a lot bigger crowd than if you're giving a poster presentation. So that's what we look for.
One point I want to make with that. We also ask for what the expected presentation type is, because at some conferences, students are not allowed to give talks, so you can only give a poster. So this helps us get insight into, okay, we won't dock you for not giving a talk if students just aren't allowed to or not expected to.
Yeah, we do take that into consideration. On that point, please specify the expected presentation type on your application forms very clearly. If the conference allows only oral presentations or poster presentations or both, so that we can make a better decision. Questions about other funding. If you do have funding from your department, some sort of scholarship, it's not really a big factor in our decision, so don't be scared, or do not say oh no, if I put that information in, would I get a funding from GSA or not? Put that in. We just need it for demographic purposes, and also so that we can fund more people. So if you have, say, out of 1,500, you have 700 from other source, and you are requesting only 800, there can be someone else who's asking for $700, so we can give 2 awards. So that helps us in making those decisions. But it is a secondary factor, it's not the main factor. Alright, personal statement. So this is the biggest factor in you getting the award. The better you write the personal statement, better are your chances to get an award. And by better, first and foremost thing I mean is that it address all the questions that we ask. So we ask you to address either one of these 2 questions, which are sort of similar question, just framed differently. And we do want you to address both of these questions. So you have to address 3 questions in your personal statement for award for conferences. That's the bigger personal statement. And the character limit on that is 4,500 characters, including spaces. And for Travel Assistance Award, we want you to address both of these questions and not leave any of them. So, and limit is 2 to 50 characters. Now when we say characters, we specify the character limit. Sometimes people write their personal statement on Word and then copy paste it into the application form. So when you do that, please check if all of your SOP is there, because after 4,500 or 2 to 50 characters, it will cut off and it will not print. We will not get the entire personal statement. So please be very careful about that. So in personal statement, questions 1 or 2, arguably is definitely the most important part, and if we don't understand that, we are not very interested in your application, just simply put. If we don't understand what your research is, we have already made our minds that this is not a good personal statement and you're not going to get good points in there.
So okay, I just want to add, sorry, we are from different colleges and different programs. Like, for example, I'm a geneticist. I know next to nothing about like physics or other programs like that. So you need to be able to explain it in simple terms. And like, I like to think about it explaining to my parents. Neither of them are biologists. So like, I have to explain things in very simple, small terms, but still get across the point that like what I'm doing is important, what I'm doing is interesting, or it's contributing to society. So make sure that it is very basic, but still showing the importance of whatever it is.
Yeah, on that point, please avoid most of the jargon that you use, that you may think that, or you know that people from your field are going to understand that, but most possibly we won't. So, because people from your field are not judging this application. So, even if people from your field know that, we won't. Your judges won't understand your jargon. So to avoid jargon, explain it very clearly in a very concise way. Most importantly, try to show us the bigger picture. Why it is good that you're doing this research. It's very important. I guess if you have gone to 3-minute thesis presentations or seen those, that would be a good point to refer to. There are lots of videos on YouTube about those. See them, get some understanding or inspiration from those speeches. So that's where you lose or gain most of the points, if we do understand your research or not. Questions 3 and 4, it's basically, if I would to go back here. So this question 3 is how your attendance at the conference contributes to the scientific enrichment of NC State department or your program, and how your attendance at this conference supports you or will support you in your personal or career goals. So most of the time people address this question very generically, not going into details, and we sort of know the exact language that we're going to see. We're going to see that this is a networking event, I'm going to network with people, and this is good for my future. But we would really like to see you come up with more detail, and what we would really see is what you exactly want with your career and how specifically this conference addresses that. That's something we need. And about how it enriches NC State department or program, we would like to see who you plan on networking with and talking about your research, or what people, if you have already attended the conference and you're applying, what people have you talked with, those things. I guess based on the travel deadlines, you are not going to attend it beforehand. But if you're going to attend it, who do you think you will be talking to. That gives us insight that before going to conference, you have done your research, you have a set agenda, and you have a set agenda of what presentations you're going to see and what people you're going to talk to. That's what we're looking for. On other points, do not exceed character limit. Also, keep into account, we do count spaces on that character limit. It's not excluded. Organize the statement, personal statement really properly. We do give points for that, clarity and organization. And we would really like to see how passionate you are about your research. I guess everyone is, but that's the only motivation for most people to do PhD or any form of research. But we would really like to see it on paper. If you can explain it to us in paper, you definitely would be really good at explaining your research at the conference. Transcript, we usually needed that you are a student, for verifying that you are a student of NC State, what your GPA is, if you have entered it correctly or not. And if you're a first year student at NC State, submit your transcript from your last university. In CV, we're looking for experience in professional development. And based on your field, we are looking for publications in your field or not. It depends on your field. If you are from humanities, you may not have published anything based on your data and everything. So we understand that. So don't worry, we don't look just for your publications. We look very broadly at your CVs, and as much development you have done for yourself, that is what we want to see.
So with your CV as well, we're not just looking like that you publish 10 papers. We're looking for kind of breadth and width. So you want to show like, oh, I've taught, I've published papers, I've done outreach. We're looking for a variety of things. We want to see that you are a well-rounded person.
Associated documents, submitted abstract that verifies that you are presenting your research, and confirmation just to verify that you are actually going to it. So, and if you don't get acceptance by the deadline, you can send it after you get it. If you are requesting a reimbursement, you have receipts, so you have obviously gone to the conference. Just submit us that confirmation afterwards. Letters of recommendation. After personal statement, this is the biggest source of you getting better points on your applications. And first and foremost, really think about who you are asking for your recommendation letters. Like, really think about who knows you really well. It could be a professor whom you have worked with or whose class you have taken. Better if it is an advisor. If you have worked before, it would be really good if we get a personal statement from your boss. Like last time we had an application she was a new person in the university and hasn't started working with any advisor really well, but she made it a point to get recommendation letters from the past employer. So just really think about who you are asking for your recommendation letters. What we are looking for, we want specific details in recommendation letters. We are not looking for your advisors or your recommenders to explain your research. You have already done that. We don't want them to explain it again to us. We want them to talk about you. So we want them to comment on what you have worked, what you have done, how you are in the lab, how you are at teaching, if they have any knowledge of it, or how you are at outreach, those kind of details. We do not want to read about your research again. We've already read that. That's why, because at a conference, your recommender is not going to explain your research. You are going to explain your research. So, generic letters, they do not score well. So what we suggest in that case is Just go and talk to your recommenders. And in the past, we have seen some of the applicants give them a point description of what they should be addressing. So you can give them pointers, just don't be shy on that. But be respectful, just not tell them how to write a letter. Do not want to be bad in front of their eyes, just tell them that I attended this workshop and that's what the judges are looking for. Alright? Alright, so that was the last part. DGP authorization is very generic. There are no judging points. We just want them to authorize that you're a student, you're a good student, in good standing, and if needed, screen those applications. So those are the main points. And now we will start a panel discussion. We have some of the judges here, and I'm sure we are equipped to answer all of your questions. And if you don't get your questions answered, I'll be happy to email them. Just email me, ask me any question. I'll be happy to answer them at any point. All right, now I'll invite the panelists to come here and introduce themselves.
Hey, I'm Erin Peterson. I'm a fourth-year PhD student in the genetics program.
And we're sorry, we have more judges, but most of them have other obligations to go to some classes. But this was the best time we could find. So.
Hi everyone, I'm Urmila. I represent the Department of Entomology and Plant Pathology under CALS, and I belong to plant pathology. I'm a third-year PhD, and I'm one of the panels here.
Could you also tell them how long have you been at Judges?
Oh yeah, this is my second year. I've been in the committee, and so with judging, it's my fourth time because we have 2 rounds of applications per year. So
Yeah, this is also my second year, so not my fourth time of judging applications as well.
Okay. Hi, I'm Catherine. I am a PhD student in poultry science, and I study parasitic diseases and all sorts of poultry. This is my first year, so this is the second time I'm doing reviews for the committee.
I'm Tamika McElveen. I'm from the College of Education, specifically Teacher Education and Learning Sciences, and I'm studying educational psychology, third year. And this is my second year on the committee.
All right, so I am Lanicia. I'm a fourth-year PhD in operations research and math. This will be my third time.
And I said, I'm Sugandha, and I have been in this committee since 2015, so I've done a lot of, but I don't even remember how many times now. Okay, now we'll take any questions you guys have.
I'm wondering, like, you mentioned 2 recommendation letter for the travel grant for conference.
Do you mind speaking it loudly as well? Because we have a live stream and video.
You mentioned there will be 2 recommendation letter for the conference travel grant. So 2 from one from your supervisor, obviously, and the other one you mentioned we can choose in between our other professors, maybe committee members or something like that.
Yes. So I would want to repeat the question. So because we asked for 2 letters of recommendation, you can have one written by your main advisor, and second one you can choose based on who knows you best. So yeah, you can do that. It would be good, who knows you best. That's the criteria. That should be the criteria. It could be another committee member you go and talk to frequently, or another professor whom you have worked with or taken a class with.
On that point, one thing I would not suggest is to ask a fellow graduate student to write you a letter. We've had that happen in the past, and those score very poorly. Because a lot of times it's your friend who's going to be doing it, and they'll say nice things about you, but we really want to see that it's someone who's a little bit higher up and can really recommend you from like I said, either a teaching standpoint or a standpoint from you being a student in their class or someone who you worked with research. So you can even think about like collaborators if you've worked with people from other groups or other universities to write you a letter as well.
There's a section on the form that talks about like the different costs associated with things for like estimates. What if your conference fee includes like room and board? Is it just for like meals and hotel information and things like that?
Okay, so this is about cost. So registration cost includes food and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so so for most of the things you need receipts to represent. So if you have in conference registration all of it included, what you have to do is if you win the award, you will have to fill out a travel authorization form. So in that form, fill out the cost, and you have a section to write remarks on it. So on that, you can write that this fee includes this, but you do not have to specify that in our form. That would be when you are getting reimbursed and all.
On that point, you just want to make sure that if you are applying for either award, that you tell us exactly how much you want. So like if you are applying for the award for conferences and you do want the $1,500, just make sure that your total at least adds up to that, or tell us that, you know, there should be a place for comments somewhere where you can explain things like, oh, it doesn't add up to $1,500, but I'm still asking for the award, you know, the full award, because I couldn't figure out where to put in, you know, expenses for this amount, things like that.
If you're traveling to two conferences, can we apply for like the conference award and the travel authorization award, travel assistance award, and then also get those two awards, or is it just one?
So in one cycle you can get just one, depending on whichever you get. If you want to put different conferences in different forms, you can do that. But if you, after winning it, if you want to switch it, we can't do that. We really take into consideration what conference you are going to, and you can get funded only for the conferences that you mentioned in the form. So you can definitely choose to put different conferences in both different forms, but based on whichever you get, you will get funding for just that conference.
I want to talk about the cost as well. Like, I want to go to the international conference, so my flight fee is over like already 1,300. So in that case, I think I need to supposed to meet the like a 1,500. So what should I do for that?
So will you be just asking for your flight?
I mean, no, I want to put everything, but as I understood, like I can't. So
in that case, just put in the entire estimate of your conference, but we can just refund you for 1,500.
Okay.
So that again, when you are getting reimbursed, you can tell us what you want us to reimburse you for. But you can put in the entire estimate. If it comes out to 2,500, just put that.
Okay.
It's just that we can fund you only $1,500.
Okay.
I have another question. Because the deadline is so broad, the submission deadline of the abstract is in March for my conference, and the conference is in July. So I haven't got the like absolute confirmation that I am like gonna present, because there are two options for poster, and they said if we cannot accumulate in oral, we're gonna put you in poster, like something like that in the conferences. So how do I choose which one I'm gonna do?
Well, that's a tough question, yeah. But I mean, it could be either one, right? So just put in oral.
How do I specify in my application for the grant? Because the deadline is in February 25th for applying to the grant, but the submission deadline for my conference is in March. So
Right.
after submission, they're going to decide which category they're going to put me in. So then,
So just clarify that on your application. But I mean, if I was filling out the form, I would have put oral, because
Yeah, I'm willing to do oral, but they said
Yeah.
if there is not enough slot, then they will put
Yeah.
me in the poster.
You could also like just say like, because we'll have a comment down there on the application form where you say what kind of presentation you are doing, and we also have a box just below it where it says what is the expected type. So you can mention it there, and I would also personally suggest you emailing the VP of Academics, Sugandha Singh, with the, like, you can maybe take a screenshot of whoever told you, like, okay, when this is the submission deadline or like that, and that's kind of proof that you are not lying or like, you know, but that's considerable, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Hi, I'm Felipe. So my question is, if we're applying for both awards, can we choose which letter recommender goes into the award assistance?
Yes.
If they're only sending to one, you understand?
Yeah.
To one,
Yeah, so, yeah, I see. So your recommenders have to send just one. So towards the end of the application, you will have the option to say which recommender. So if you're applying for both, you'll have 2 recommendation letters come in, but you want only one for travel assistance. So in travel assistance, just mention who will be your reference writer, and we'll look that in the application and we'll refer to that reference like writer's recommendation letter in our folder. So you can specify that in the application form.
I have a question. Like, so when I apply for, say, for the fall semester, and then there's a conference in December, and I only put one conference in there, and I haven't used all of 50. Suppose I got the award, and I haven't used all of the 1,500 by December, and there's a conference pop up in, you know, some conference haven't announced the details until like October for the conference in February. So can I reimburse for the second one if I go to another one?
No, you can't be reimbursed for the second one. We reimburse only for one conference, the one that you specify in the application form.
So can I specify like 2 or 3 conferences in one application or just only one?
No, just one.
Okay.
Just do one.
For me, like the third or fourth year grad student have more chance to get this, or compared to the first year or second year students, because like during the 2 years they already got some experience and put on the CUV. I don't know how you're gonna consider that.
Okay, so in that case, I guess you did send me an email about that question, right?
No.
I did get the same question from someone else too, so I'm just going to repeat this. So if I'm getting it correct, you're asking if you are a first year graduate student, how do you stand in a second or third year graduate student? Do we take that year into consideration? I believe in the past we have taken that into consideration, like as a very last option of like when we are really stuck, we like 2 applications, we see who is later in the year or who is earlier. That is a factor. Sometimes what we have done is, like, if someone is like a 5th year student and is graduating that semester, we would want to give them the award because that's their last chance. And if someone is applying for first year in their first year, they have a lot of chances to apply for the same award. But that usually doesn't come into play. In your CV, if you are talking about experience, you can totally put in experience from your undergraduate or master's degree. We'll definitely consider that. Obviously, yes, someone in their 3rd year may or may not have more publications, more leadership, but it would be just a difference of publication mostly. You might have much more leadership experience from your past rather than someone who is in 2nd or 3rd year.
Yeah, there have been instances where a second year masters or like even like second year PhD have won the award, but a fourth or fifth year grad student have not. And that's totally based on the merit, how well their applications stand in front of us.
For the research, I don't know how important it is for getting this award. Like, what's the research quality we're talking about? What is good research? What is bad research? I believe like every research has their values.
Yeah, so we don't judge so much based on what kind of actual research you're doing. It's more about how well you can explain it. So like, I work on genetic evolution of fish, and people who are like in engineering might be like, that really doesn't matter. But if I can explain it well enough to them and show that, like how it does matter, that's something that, you know, would have a better chance than if I just said, you should fund me because my research is important. You know, so it's more so how well you can explain it, and how well you can kind of promote it to us in a way.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on it?
I would also say, connect it back to how relevant it is to your field in easy to explain language.
I would also say how personally it affects you too. That really shows that why you are passionate about it. So if there is a personal correlation between you doing this particular research, if you include that, that's also a big one.
And then to follow up with this question, if we're going to some kind of conference where there's like a workshop for graduate students and postdocs like the day before the conference, can that be kind of included on the travel form as well if we're going to something like that ahead of time?
So you're asking about cost.
Yeah, because it's like a separate thing, but it's attached to the conference, but they treat it as a separate like workshop day. And
Yeah,
not
that should be okay. You can include that cost.
I think we had that kind of application maybe last semester or even like last year. We had one applicant and I was looking at the application. And yeah, it was something like that. And we also take it more seriously because we feel like the person can give more of his, can contribute more of his research, you know, in two places at a time or into like a presentation plus a workshop, and I think that's more credited. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely comes into your learning process and connecting with people. So if you are doing that, it would be a good idea to mention that in your personal statement too.
I have a question about the personal statement. So if I did like several research projects, so should I include all of them or just the research I'm going to present in the conference?
Just the ones you're going to present.
For the abstract submission, confirmation of acceptance of the abstract, do we have to give like the email confirmation that we got from them, or should be from the portal of the conference?
You can just give us the email confirmation. Any more questions?
So if the conference is happening after the student's graduation date, is this okay for this award?
Yes, now it is okay. Earlier we used to have a 1-year travel date timeline, so after graduation we won't consider it, but now because we're considering only 6-month time slot for your travels, and because you have already paid fees for that semester, even if the conference happens after your graduation, that's okay. But it has to be within the travel date timeline. Any more questions? Panelists, do you have any thoughts that you would give, like pointers, what you're looking for? Maybe Alicia, you can start.
I'll say that for me personally, when it comes to like the personal statement, I like when the applicant makes me excited about their research, especially when it's always a different department in mind. So I love learning about what you all are doing and how excited you are. about your research and how it contributes to society. So when you are writing a personal statement, I think you should think of, I want this person to love what I do as much as I do. For some applicants, that really reads very well, and they're usually scored a little higher than others.
Two things I thought about were CV and recommendation, because I think you can have also personal statement and a generic letter of recommendation that I just put my head down like, oh, wish they had found someone who could really advocate for them and talk about like what makes their research so great, or their work ethic, or their experience on their team, like things like that. So I would really say make sure that your those who are recommending you really know what you have been doing in your research. And then CV, I think it's more than just going to class. It's about your research, it's about your leadership, your teaching experiences. It's a combination of things I think we look at.
On that point, some people do include in their CV that they took this course, which is not really relevant. I mean, if you want to take the course, you take the course. So please avoid doing that. And what that would do is increase the length of your CV. And if I'm looking at a 5-page CV and I see details like, oh, I attended this course, I attended this course, it's gonna really piss me off.
Is there a page limit for the CV?
No, not.
So when I grade applications, I stick very much to the rubric, and it does show that the letter of recommendations, well, first of all, the personal statement is weighted perhaps the most. So if you put a lot of time into making sure you're explaining your research and the impact your research has very clearly, that's going to do a lot for you. But I have seen situations too, I want to mention, where applicants have awesome letters of recommendation, they have an awesome personal statement. It's obvious they put a lot of effort into that, but then they maybe don't really submit a CV, they'll submit a resume, or other parts of their application fall a little bit short. So my recommendation for you all is, yes, your letters are important, your personal statement is very important, but don't ignore some of the other components and think they don't count, because they will have an impact.
I don't have I just want to say that give your best while writing or filling out the applications, and try to answer all of these questions very discreetly, very concisely, taking into consideration the number of word count, and also trying to make it so powerful, and not just answering one question very well and the others are just